I'm letting my son walk around suffering in silence. And I mean, I remember the conversation. It's been over 2 years. I was like, hey, you remember the last time we worked out together? Yeah. You remember that I was burying you in that workout. He was like, "What? What are you talking about? No way! I was burying you." So now we're going back and forth, and now I've got him in that moment. I've got him in that workout, and he's safe. That was the first thing I knew that I had to do was get him safe. So now we're talking about that workout, and then I was like, "Man, you're crazy because had I not passed out, I would have killed you in that workout." And he was like, yeah, if you hadn't had your heart attack like an old man, I would have buried you. You wouldn't have finished. And so then it starts. And I was like, well, so funny that you mentioned that. Like, tell me about that. What happens? Because the last thing I remember before I went out is I was laying down on the gym floor on my left side over this wall ball, and I saw his shoes walking towards me. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to get up. So it's like, tell me about that. Because the last thing I remember is you walking towards me, like, why weren't you running? So we're still kind of having some banter. And he said, yeah, I started walking over and I knew something was wrong. And there was a guy in a rack beside me that was lifting. And he said, and Jeff kind of looked at me and looked at somebody else and pointed at me. So I didn't know what was happening. And he said, and then somebody yelled to turn the music off. I was like, oh, wow. Like, then it got quiet. Because when I woke up, it was weird to wake up in a gym and it be completely silent. So
Right, right.
that when he said they turned the music off, that hit me. That resonated with me. He told me that for a reason. Now I know he's back there emotionally. I was
Right.
like, oh, I was like, yeah, man, when they turn the music off, like that's weird, right? Because everything's silent. He said, yeah, yeah. Then it got weird. I was like, so what happened? Like, I don't remember anything. Tell me, walk me through it. And then he started walking me through it, and he got there, and I was like, so how did I get wet? Because I was covered in ice when I woke up. Like, what happened? He said, yeah, well, that was the first thing they did. They thought that you were hot. They thought that you had fainted. So Elliot went and grabbed a whole bunch of ice, and they started pouring ice on you. And then they said that you didn't have a pulse after that. So then they started doing chest compressions. They were pushing on you like CPR. I was like, oh my God, and you had to watch that. He's like, yeah, but I felt like I needed to do something. That was the worst part. I felt like I needed to do something. And I was like, well, wait a second. I fainted. They laid me on my back. They put ice on me. They gave me chest compressions. What else could you do? What was missing? What was missing at that point? And he said, well, there was nothing else to do. It's like, all right. So they got everything covered. There's nothing left to do, yet you feel like you should have done something. He said, yeah. It's okay. Well, how long do you want to drag that around? Like there was nothing you could do. There was nothing that needed to be done.
Right.
Everything being
There's no
done.
guilt on his part, right? You're not
Right.
responsible
Yeah.
for this.